All right, let's get right into this explainer. Over 20 million traffic stops happen every single year. And today, we're mapping out exactly how to safely and legally navigate what can be a really high-stress environment. We're going to cover your constitutional rights, and we'll give you the exact word-for-word phrases you need to know to protect yourself.
Right off the bat, am I being detained or am I free to go? It is literally the single most important question you can ask during any police encounter. And throughout this explainer, we are going to unpack exactly why those words are so incredibly powerful and how they instantly clarify your legal standing.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll break down the anatomy of a stop, figure out if you're actually being detained, look at the legal timeline, and then dive into your rights to silence and refusing searches before wrapping up with some safe responses to real-world scenarios.
Starting off with the anatomy of a traffic stop, focusing on safety and cooperation.
Picture this, you're driving at night, and boom, those flashing lights hit your rearview mirror. Your heart drops, right? But panic is absolutely your worst enemy here. Your immediate goal? Reduce the tension and project cooperation. So, you pull over safely, turn off your engine, and, especially if it's dark, flip on your interior dome lights. It lets the officer see you clearly. Place your hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel and keep them visible. You really don't want to reach for your glove box or wallet until you are specifically asked, just because sudden movements can drastically escalate the situation.
Moving on, let's talk about understanding police encounters and how to know if you're actually being detained.
Okay, so here's a crucial concept. Not all police interactions are created equal. It's basically a three-tier system. First is a field inquiry, which is totally voluntary. An officer can walk right up, ask you questions without any suspicion at all, and you can simply walk away. Second is an investigative detention, which is a temporary stop. Now, this requires the officer to have reasonable suspicion that you're involved in criminal activity. Finally, an arrest is a full seizure, which legally requires the highest standard, probable cause. A traffic stop, that is an investigative detention, meaning you are legally not free to leave.
But what if you're just out walking down the street? How do you know if a casual chat has morphed into a detention? Well, courts look at the totality of the circumstances to decide if a reasonable person would feel their movement is restricted. So, if a patrol car blocks your path, if emergency lights are flashing, if the officer uses a commanding tone or asks you to hand over your ID, you are likely being detained. And that means you are no longer free to leave and your constitutional protections fully activate.
Now let's get into the legal mission timeline, specifically when it comes to prolonging a stop. This is fascinating. The law actually strictly limits what an officer can investigate during a standard stop. It splits things into on-mission and off-mission tasks. An officer can only perform on-mission tasks related to the traffic violation and roadway safety. We're talking checking your license, running for warrants, inspecting your registration, and writing the ticket. But off-mission tasks, like running a drug dog around your car or asking probing questions to fish for other crimes, those are completely separate. To do those, the officer needs entirely new, independent, reasonable suspicion.
Which brings us to an absolute game changer of a legal precedent. Under the 2015 Supreme Court doctrine, Rodriguez v. United States, police cannot hold you indefinitely. Once the original ticket is written, or the time it reasonably should take to write it has passed, the stop must end. They literally cannot make you wait on the side of the road for 20 minutes for a canine unit to arrive just to go fishing for crimes, unless they have new, specific reasons to suspect you of something else entirely.
Let's pivot to your right to silence under the Fifth and Sixth Amendments. I need you to burn this exact phrase into your memory. I wish to remain silent and I would like a lawyer. These are the magic words. You must clearly and respectfully state this to legally require officers to cease questioning. Just staying quiet isn't always enough, unfortunately. You have to explicitly invoke your rights using these words to activate the protective shield of the Constitution.
Now, if the officer starts fishing, asking things like, "Where are you coming from?" or "Have you had anything to drink tonight?" resist the urge to over-explain yourself. Spontaneous explanations almost always backfire and can totally be used against you. You're generally only obligated to provide your physical documents. Remember, silence is not an admission of guilt, it's a fundamental constitutional right exercised by innocent people every single day.
Next up, refusing a vehicle search and your Fourth Amendment rights.
So the Fourth Amendment generally means police need a warrant or probable cause to search your car. But since they usually don't have that during a routine stop, they'll go for the easiest shortcut, your voluntary consent. If they just casually ask, "Hey, do you mind if I take a look in your vehicle?" and you say, "Sure," you have entirely waived your Fourth Amendment protections. Also, keep the plain view doctrine in mind. If something illegal is just sitting out in the open where the officer can see it through the window, they don't need a warrant to seize it.
So how exactly do you handle a request to search? It's simple. You say, "Officer, I do not consent to a search of my vehicle." It has to be polite, clear, and totally unambiguous. Don't hedge by saying something like, "I'd rather you didn't," and do not let the officer pressure you into explaining why you're refusing. You don't need a reason. Exercising your constitutional rights is the only reason required.
But what if you say no and they decide to search it anyway? Look, the absolute most important thing here, do not physically resist. The side of the highway is absolutely not the place to fight a legal battle. Instead, assert your rights verbally for the record. You say, "I do not consent to this search, but I am not resisting." This legally documents that your compliance is forced, not voluntary, which gives your lawyer the foundation to challenge the search and get evidence thrown out later in a courtroom.
All right, let's tie this all together with some real-world applications and safe responses to scenarios.
It's all about matching your physical cooperation with legally protective language. Pulled over for speeding? Politely hand over your docs and simply ask, "May I ask why I was stopped?" Definitely don't say, "I know I was going a little fast." If they hit you with personal questions, keep a neutral tone and state, "I prefer not to answer." And if you're ordered to exit the vehicle, which the Supreme Court generally allows for officer safety, comply physically and slowly while narrating your actions by saying, "I'm stepping out now."
Here's a super specific but incredibly common scenario. The drug dog. Legally, you cannot refuse an exterior canine sniff of your car during a lawful stop. However, as we discussed earlier with the Rodriguez doctrine, the officer cannot prolong the stop to wait for that dog without independent suspicion. And even if the dog is walking around the outside, you should still clearly state that you do not consent to an interior search.
Now, if things escalate and you are placed under arrest, the whole game changes. The stakes are instantly sky high. Your physical compliance must be absolute. Let them handcuff you without resistance. Then, clearly invoke your Miranda rights by asking for a lawyer, and from that exact second forward, say absolutely nothing else. Officers might try to strike up casual conversation in the patrol car just to get you talking. Don't fall for it. Your silence is your absolute shield.
Okay, once the whole encounter is finally over, whether you got a ticket or were arrested and released, you've got to document everything immediately. Human memory degrades incredibly fast, especially when your adrenaline is pumping. Write down the time, the location, the badge numbers, exactly what was said, and what was searched. Doing this within the first 30 minutes creates an unbelievably accurate record that will be the bedrock of your legal defense when you sit down with an attorney.
Wow, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today in this explainer. Knowing your constitutional rights, that's really only half the battle. Having the exact words ready to confidently exercise them is what truly empowers you. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Do you know your script for the next time you see flashing lights in your rearview mirror? Take these tools, memorize those phrases, and stay safe out there. Thanks for joining me, and keep learning.